Hey guys, welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. We have a very cool guest, super cool artist, extremely talented. We're the one and only Jimmy Gnecco. And if you don't know Jimmy, you're in for a treat. First of all, his music is phenomenal. His voice is awesome. He's a great songwriter, and he's got a really good story. He's a cool guy. Quickly, I just want to thank our mutual friend, Nick Perry, stud guitar player. Nick, thanks so much for hooking us up. Let me give you a quick background on Jimmy. I'm going to pronounce his last name Gnecco, but it's Gnecco. All right. So it's Jimmy Gnecco, Gnecco. All right. He's an artist who sings. He's a multi-instrumentalist and very talented songwriter. Jimmy makes music under his own name as well as under the name Ours, O-U-R-S. This guy's voice is amazing. I mean, he's got one of the best voices in rock and roll. And the one thing, and I texted him this after the first time I listened to his new record, it was the first time I got exposed to his music. This guy is giving you 110% in everything. Like you could see him there, like just giving every ounce of energy he has on every single song. And as a listener, man, I really appreciate that. And it's like, what more could someone do? You know, how much better? You can't do any better than that. If I had to describe his music, it's very powerful atmospheric rock with outstanding vocals. Jimmy started playing music in 1988. He formed Ours, again, O-U-R-S, in 92. In 97, he signed to DreamWorks Records and released 2 records with them before they went under. They've opened for bands like The Cult, Aha, Powderfinger, The Wallflowers, Marilyn Manson, Blue October, and Filter. In 2004, Jimmy and Brian May recorded a great track, Someone to Die For, on the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack. Really good soundtrack, really good track. Chris Cornell is actually one of the co-writers. And Jimmy also contributed vocals on tracks for the video game called Metal Gear Rising. He's originally from New Jersey. We will overlook that because he's so cool. And he's released 6 albums with Ours, including his most recent release, which is self-titled. It's just a massive record, a 17-track record. And 1 album under his own name called The Heart, which actually has several mixes. Man, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. We're going to have a good conversation.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Man. Likewise. Okay, before we get started on this, so I'm doing research on you. And this song that Lana Del Rey recorded called Hey Jimmy Gnecco comes up. It's like, it's a good song, but it's kind of funny lyrics. Do you know her? Like, what the hell is that all about?
Yeah, it's the lyrics are kind of silly.
Yeah.
But I do know her, and I didn't know her when the song came out, but you know, kind of, I saw her on, my friend had sent me some stuff on her when she first started to make her videos on, I think it was for video games or something, in Blue Jeans. And I felt like, okay, yeah, there's something vibey about this girl. And then I saw her on Saturday Night Live, and she kind of tanked. But I felt bad for her because I didn't feel like she was, like she wasn't talented. I just felt like she wasn't ready for that experience, and maybe that didn't show her in the best light. And so I started to feel, in a sense, like kind of protective of her, you know, as people were ripping her apart. I said, no, there's something going on with her. Like, I think she's really good, actually. And then some time went on. She started to blow up. And then, you know, my phone started to blow up and everything started to follow. And, you know, people asking me about the song, and I didn't know anything about it. And then, I went and found it and I listened to it. And, you know, I thought, like, oh, well, it's incredibly nice that she made that song about me. And then I started to listen to her music, and she has a song called Born to Die that I really liked. So I was making an Ours record at the time. So I wrote a song back to her, basically saying these lyrics: if you think that you were born to die, then fall into my hands. You know, just an idea, thought of like, well, if you decided that you're already there and you're ready to die, well, how about, you know, either there was a 2-sided thing to it.
This is like a love thing going back and forth, sort of.
Yeah, it was like a two-part idea. The one part was like, well, if you've given up all hope, well, then why not try, try over here and I got you.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the one side. But the other side was that if you create this existence for yourself where you're making yourself out to be the victim, then you're going to fall into the hands of, as I saw it, the devil. So that's the real deep meaning.
Yeah.
And the first one's a cute meaning, but the real meaning is that if we paint ourselves out to be a victim about everything, then we're not going to really grow. And I was seeing so much of that starting to happen in, out in the entertainment world and music, rather than just putting your work out there for what it is. It was people were creating this thing where they were victims.
Right.
And I felt that, and that's really what that song is. So it's really this alluring thing of like the devil coming at you and saying, yeah, I have you now, because you've given into this idea that that poor you're a victim, and as a result, you're stuck. And it might seem like you're winning right now, but in the long run, I've got you. So that's the real deep meaning. I try always to have a couple meanings in the songs. One that's really lighthearted and where there's a lot of light in it. And then there's another one that's the polar opposite. If you look at every song that I've written, I can basically point that out. Well, here's the beautiful side of it, which I tend to lean towards. But here's the really dark side of it, if you want to go on that ride and go on a mind trip.
What song is that?
That's a song off the Ballet the Boxer record called Fall Into My Hands. Right. So then some mutual friends of mine. So I did some digging to figure out, like, okay, where did this come from? And then I looked back at I had my manager go back to like 2007 and look back at some Facebook things. And he found like places where she was reaching out and trying to get a hold of me back then and kind of asking to open up some shows, which I never got those because I've never been on Facebook in my life. Still to this date, I've never been on.
And you're a better man for it.
I wouldn't know what it looks like or anything.
That's like, excellent, man.
So, and I'm going to stick to that. Like I have to ride that out now. So, so he went back and looked at
it.
And
sobriety. It's like social media sobriety, man.
Yeah. I'm not trying to give any coins back. So, I had him look at it and he said, oh yeah, look right here, Lizzie Grant. She was trying to get to you and just like ask you about, which is fine. A lot of people do that and I'm okay with it. They reach out and they ask about opening shows and I give a lot of people shows that way. I listen to their music and if I enjoy it and I feel like it'll work, or if I like them, if they're kind, I've done it a lot over the years. So I was okay with that. I don't look down upon that, just to make it clear. But I never saw her request. So time went on and we had some mutual friends, and one of my friends, this total sweetheart named Reeve Carney, really talented artist all around, singer, guitar player, songwriter, actor.
Is that Zane Carney's brother?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is a crazy story if we really want to get into that. So like how like Zane is, I've had Zane play with me and I played with them. I produced a track with them. So around this time I went into the studio and I was producing stuff for Carney. And I basically broke up the band in one sense. I kind of just like pushed things over the edge basically, because it felt like that's what needed to happen and that's what wanted to happen. So, but anyway, Reeve had said to me, oh yeah, Lizzie really, really likes you, likes your music and stuff. And so I said, I took a chance, and I don't normally do this, but I've done it now twice in my life where I actually asked for something. I reached out and I don't ask for anything from anybody. It's not my thing. So, but I just felt like there were two times in life where I thought that it would be appropriate. One was when I reached out to my buddy in the band Aha, because they were going on tour and it was supposed to be their final tour. And I was like, wow, if I would love to be on that tour, especially if it's their final tour. I love Aha.
Sure.
So I asked, and lo and behold, I got the entire tour with them, the European UK tour. It was amazing. Arenas, and last show was Wembley. It was cool.
That's awesome.
So in that kind of vibe, shortly after, I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, this is this is Jimmy. Reeve hooked us up, and I said, this is Jimmy. I'm just wondering where you are. Are you in California? Where are you?" I said, "I'm playing tonight at the Viper Room." And she said, "I'm in Nashville, but I'm flying in tonight. What time are you playing?" I told her. She said, "I'll be there. I'm coming."
Oh, that's so cool.
She came out to the show, and I met up with her after, and we spent all night talking. I really like her. I really do. So a couple months went by, and I saw that she was playing Red Rocks. And Red Rocks is always just, to me, like anybody that plays Red Rocks, I'm so happy for them.
Yeah.
So I reached out to her and I said, "I see you're playing Red Rocks. That's crazy. Like, I'm so happy for you." And she said, "Well, why aren't you playing with me?" And I said, "Say the word, I'll be there." So then, I basically joined her on tour, and I did a run of dates with her around the country.
That's great, man.
And so then that's how I got to really know her. But I didn't know her before that. We did not. I don't want to break down everybody's fantasies or ideas. But we didn't date. I had a girlfriend kind of at the time, and we were just kind of breaking up, and I wasn't really in a place yet to start even thinking about that. So who knows what Lana was thinking or not, but to break it to everybody, we didn't date. But then something interesting that happened after, which was not cool. So I basically, in certain ways, I've lost my name as a result, because it's become this song, and her fans just decided to kind of take my name and use it everywhere they could on any social media things. But then a bunch of them were sending me death threats, because in one of her songs that came out right after we were spending time together, it says, I don't know the exact lyrics, so don't quote me on the lyrics, but it said something like, "Jim beat me."
Oh my God.
And all this stuff and I don't know if she was talking about Jim Beam or some other fantasy, because that's how she writes. But people took it literally. And so, yeah, the great thing was that I got to tour with her and play these amazing venues and play for her crowd. But the flip side of it was that a lot of her protective fans sent me death threats after it, because they viewed those lyrics as if that it was me, that Jim was me, and that I had done something to her. So, yeah. Did
you tell her that, so she came out with a retraction, or that like, hey, this is not about Jimmy Gnecco?
No, I did tell her, but she never said anything about it. So that was kind of the disappointing thing, that she's just allowed it to exist, and certain things we just allow to exist, because you don't want to feed into them.
Right.
But if there's something like that where it's hurting somebody, I would have hoped she would have said, "Everybody chill out. This is what I meant with those lyrics." So, but it's okay. That's how it goes.
Wow. Do you still hear from people like that?
It hasn't been really much of it in a while, so it went away. So that's why it's just like, it's fine.
Yeah. Weird stuff though, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit. So I want to ask you about something you said. You said, maybe this is some of what you were talking about. You said we're similar. You said, "I never ask anybody for help."
Yeah, it hasn't been a part of my
why?
My vocabulary. Just the way I was raised. 6 kids, and
holy crap.
My parents were tough parents. They were great. But there's a certain way about my dad. And it's part of the thing that has helped me basically accomplish many things in my life, most things. But he always said, losers make excuses and winners try harder. So I always looked at that as like, if I'm lacking somewhere, try harder, keep going.
Right.
And for the most part, it's really done me well. But, there are those times, I think, that, like you were saying, I read in your bio, that when it's okay to kind of open yourself up and be vulnerable and allow somebody that loves you or is looking out for you to help. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
It's a hard thing. For me, it was extremely hard. I didn't really start doing it until I'm 57, probably in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So you're 15 years ahead of me. Good for you. or how, I don't know how old you are.
Help, Lana, help.
Yeah, Lana. Yeah, that was just really weird.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, we fixed it here. We got the real scoop on it. Well, sorry you had to go through that. And but that being said, it sounds like it probably turned you on to a lot of people that weren't like predatory as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So that's the good side of it. But in typical fashion, like I've done through the years, and just kind of following inspiration rather than really anytime that I've looked at, in a sense, like used my now this is a conflicting thing. So I use my brain to see like what is happening out there in the world to kind of like follow that pulse. When I have done that and combine that with what I really am passionate about, I've had great results. But I haven't always done that for myself. See, something like that, like I did that tour solo as a solo artist. I should have come home and made a solo record with my name and capitalized on it right away. Like right away. I should have come home and done a single right away, and put it out under my name, because that's how hundreds of thousands of people just saw me.
Yes.
Night after night. But in typical fashion for me, I don't think like that, like an opportunist. Or, I don't want to say opportunist like it's a negative thing. Like for looking at,
in this case, it's not
an opportunity of something that I earned to take advantage of it, to run through that door. But I think I kind of self-destructively kind of sabotage that, just because I've always wanted to be in a band and be about something bigger than just me. So I looked at that. I was like, I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm not going to just run to it now to capitalize on it, which is just, it's bad business at the end of the day. It's not really smart, but in any event, that's really what I should have done.
You know what, man? I don't pretend to know like what your history is, but I can tell you from myself, I did that with so many things. And the reason I did it, I finally figured it out 2 years ago, was because I grew up in chaos. And so chaos was my norm. Mm-hmm. So I was subconsciously making decisions, not every decision, but too fucking many of them that would get me to chaos. Mm. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I realized that, I'm like, holy shit. Like on the surface, I think, well, I'm a smart guy. Why am I making these decisions? And it was like, and that's why. So yeah.
I felt comfortable there.
That's my norm. That was that was like my default option, so I would just make subconsciously, I'd never make a decision. So what's the most difficult answer, this problem, what's the most difficult thing I can do? Oh, let me take that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't like this, well, I'm Craig Garver, I can handle anything. Oh, part of that was, but it was because, that'll give me chaos, all subconsciously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I lived similarly to that for a long time. I feel like I fixed a lot of that. I don't want to say fixed it, but for myself, fixed it.
Yeah.
Because I was fully sleeved 30 years ago.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So by the time I was just about 18, I was fully sleeved. And that was my way of feeling like, well, if I'm not suffering, I'm not earning anything.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah. Suffering's optional, man.
Yeah.
You don't realize it if you have that, you think, I know, it's amazing. And then you get that in every aspect of your life. Like, if I'm go to the gym and I'm not in agony 3 days in a row, starting 2 days from now, if I go on a diet and I don't feel like I'm starved, you know,
Yeah.
you do that with everything.
Relationship, my romantic relationship was completely parallel at the time to that, where just a mess, just so chaotic and a mess and suffering. And but yeah, I stopped that for the most part, that idea of that. When I was just about 21, I'd stopped drinking and anything like that, and I said no more. I drew my lines, my boundaries, and I'm like, no, that's not living, man. I'm not doing that anymore.
That's a young age, man. I really give you how did the dime drop on that? Like, how did you get to
I had a child at a young age. We had my high school girlfriend and I had a child pretty much right when I was just out of high school.
Okay.
And that woke me up pretty quickly to say, like, okay, well, I don't want to repeat any of the patterns or anything that I grew up. One, I don't want to repeat patterns, and two, what I believe is the right thing to do deep down, and I'm going to be teaching this child. I have to live. I have to walk that walk. I can't just say it. It wasn't going to work for me if I said one thing and did another. So I had to live it, and in living that, basically like being not religiously but spiritually reborn.
Yeah.
To like everything was just, I hate to say it because it sounds cliche, because it's not just because of my love for my child, which is beautiful, my children, two of them, which was amazing. It was that I was seeing things through his eyes and through positive living, just like the suffering, the forced suffering, destructive behavior, and the chaos stopped, and I saw it, just rational behavior and positive results, and the idea of every single day a series of things that just led to better results and being happy. I realized that I needed to work at being happy every day, that it wasn't just going to fall from the sky. So that pretty much changed my entire existence when I was 20. And then for the next couple of years, I got my stuff together, and that's why I was able to get my deal and have it really take off for me early on when it did. Like the record deal that I signed and the bidding war that happened and all that was a result of all of this positive living. And in a sense, I was pretty wide open here. Like my head was wide open, my heart was wide open, but my boundaries were there to where it's like the negative stuff that comes through. I'm not wide open in a like, because I smoke weed every day and I'm just saying it's all good. That's not my vibe. It was more like I'm wide open to whatever the potential of something is, the possibilities are, but any of these negative behaviors or patterns or anything that exist, they're no longer allowed in my life. So just completely wiping those out. And as basically in doing that, the world opened up to me.
Wow.
And I have lived in spite of, or despite, whichever be, some still tragedies that happen every day that we can't control. And a lot of bumps in the road. I still view it as I've had an amazing, beautiful life because I was able to change my mindset about it when I was 20 years old. And since then, everything has been just a blessing. The journey, the ups and the downs have been a wonderful ride and a great life as a result. So, and that's just due to mindset. It's not due to success in any way, music or anything. It was just my mindset changed. So, yeah.
Man, I give you credit for putting that together at such a young age. Wow, honestly, that's awesome, man. I'm happy.
I think there are a lot of things around doing that because I was able to there were 6 of us, as I was saying, with my family. So I was able to kind of watch how everybody else was handling things, and I got to handle it my own way.
Right.
How I handled what had come our way from our upbringing. And, you know, it was a kind of a broken household a bit with my mom and stuff. But how I handled it was to immediately forgive her for, in a sense, kind of leaving us. She herself was struggling with stuff. Maybe, you know, she wasn't ever diagnosed with anything, but maybe manic or borderline personality. It's just something that she was not diagnosed with, but just a lot of crazy behaviors.
Yeah.
That affected us all a lot as her children. And once I had my own children, I was the first, and I'm the 4th child, but I was the first to have my own child. So that was the thing that woke me up to just say, okay, end the cycles, anything that we've been through, we have complete control of how it's going to go. You know, we don't have control of anything, and we let go. But as far as the things are that we can control.
Yeah. How you react to things.
Yeah. So yeah, that luckily I was 20 years old, just about to turn 21, and the whole world opened up to me.
Good for you, man. I'm really happy. That's awesome. Really pat on your back. It's a very young age to come to that realization.
Thanks.
Good for you for surviving 6 kids too. That's a hey, I tell you what, I think I would have been off mentally if I had 6 kids myself. I mean, I'm serious. We had 3 and it was nuts.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. That's what I always looked at it as, like, you know, she went full term with 6 of us and had a couple, I think maybe, like a miscarriage and maybe a still birth, but the details always get a little cloudy. But to go that, you know, 6 kids, like that changes a person, you know. So I always viewed her as a human, more than my mom. You know, I got to a certain point because I had such independence by the time I was working my own jobs, but from the time I could, paper routes and all that, illegally working my cousin's paper routes because he was older than me. So I would do it for him. He'd pay me. I always had my own money for anything that I wanted.
Right.
So I was just independent I had a run up to from the time I was about 13 or so being independent. Right. So by the time 18, 19 came, you know, and I had my
like 30 really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause you've been, I get
forced
that.
Forced into it. We're forced into these kinds of things. And so a lot of similarities to you.
Yeah.
From what I read.
Yeah. And it's a blessing and a curse, most of it.
Yeah.
You know, being independent, like, wow. But then when you're that young, you do like you don't ask anybody for help.
Nope.
It's just not in your vocabulary. Not because you're so tough, just like, it's not what you do.
Yeah.
Because you expect to have to do everything yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which all ties into, you know, me playing guitar as it is, but we'll get into that one.
Yeah.
As we get down here, but it's tied into it. I'll show you.
From what I read, it sounded like, or it seemed like, and please correct me if this is not correct, if I'm incorrect. You didn't really find musically your real sense of direction until you formed Hours. There's truth in that, but even in forming Hours, I think around that there's complete truth in that, because around 91, 92, I wrote a song called Hours, which later became a song called Mercy that we recorded when we made the record with Rick Rubin. First song on the record was called Mercy. It was once called Hours. So that's funny that we're making this big record with Rick Rubin. The first song is Mercy. So that was kind of finding the sound. And then the song that hit it for us on my first record that was released in 2001, I wrote that in 1991. It's called Sometimes. Oh, wow.
And I wrote that in 1991. We played it with the band that I was with at that time. And I think that song, Sometimes, as well as Hours, as well as a few other ones that the guitar player was writing, we started to really find the sound. So then when that happened, that's when we changed the name of the band to Ours. Because before that we had, they're just different names and stuff. But I think when some of those songs happened, that it became clear to me that we needed to change the name of the band. It was just, the name felt silly. So
was there a significance to the word Ours for you?
For me, it was two things. I had noticed that I was writing songs that were really influenced by everything around me, not just musically, but the conversations that I was having with people that were changing my life. I was kind of working those lyrics into the songs, and sometimes singing the songs of other people's lives as if they were my own, and get kind of singing them that way. And that to me was the idea that, wow, these are like ours. These are like our songs. This is like ours. Like, this band is ours. I would have people come to shows, and the feeling that I would get knowing that I was on stage singing this song that felt really personal, that was somebody else's story that was looking up at me.
Okay.
Started to give me that thought. And I loved the idea that it felt in that time, we're coming out of the 80s. And if you think about a lot of the, like the hair metal bands or the metal bands with the names.
Yeah.
I think it sums it all up by saying Steel Panther, right? Like them being kind of an homage to that time with the name Steel Panther. But that was kind of like what we were coming out of. And I was more inspired by the alternative movement that was just beginning to happen, with bands like, I think it was like EMF, Jesus Jones, the band Live, their first record. And I like the name that, like In Excess. I like U2. I love the name that didn't, like, it felt like it had a big meaning, but it was so wide. Meaning was so broad and wide that you couldn't specifically pinpoint it to say, okay, well, that's definitely, you
like a little bit of mystery. You like giving people their own leeway of interpretation, it seems like.
Exactly. I didn't want to specifically say, this is the sound, I want it to be open for interpretation, and to continue to lead people to the space of thinking for themselves and thinking about it. So that's continued the entire time for me. That's part of the kiss and the curse of why at points the music has taken a long time to connect with people, because it's open for interpretation, and it's not always so. You can't always put it in a box and say that this is what it is. Sometimes it is like, it's just art sometimes, where it's like, okay, I'm not sure what this means, but it makes me inspired to create. That was part of what I wanted to do as well. And I felt like if I was too specific early on, especially on my first record, which is really vague lyrically on a lot of things, I wanted to somehow, as I say right out of the gate in the lyrics in the first song, feed from their eyes and dream you're alive and feel. I wanted to just kind of push people into thinking for themselves and creating for themselves, and not specifically saying that this is a song about faith, or it's because often, and people, would try to dispute me on it, which I just laugh at them. Like friends of mine would, or supposed friends of mine would try to come up to me and talk to me about lyrics on the first record and say, well, I have a problem with this, or this is my thought with this, because they thought that for them, they related to.
It just cracks me up that people actually say they have a problem with your lyrics. Like,
yeah, because they were relating to what they thought was the religious side of it. So they had their idea of what they thought God and Jesus were about and all that. And I wasn't specifically saying that. I was just provoking thought. and creating what ifs more than I was saying, I'm not a like a role model or spokesperson at this point coming out with my first record. I was raising questions of like growing up and everything that I thought about as well. And like, well, what if this, and if they say this, how does this work with this? So I wanted to have that complete contradiction right away. So then somebody that wants it to be a certain way because they want that answer to be defined for them and absolute, it would bring them, discord. It would make them uncomfortable. And I wasn't necessarily trying to make people uncomfortable, but I was trying to still question the things that I was questioning, while giving praise to those that I did believe. And that was my thought. This is what I believe in, but it's not gospel and it's not law. It's just a thought. People, we got into it with some people on the first record. They were like, well, how can you say this? And like, because it wasn't a part of their religious.
But it's art.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing I was trying to say. It doesn't have to make sense. It's art. And I wanted my first record to be exactly that. Like and my buddy, who owned the Viper Room, Johnny Depp's partner, my buddy Sal, I became part of the furniture at the Viper Room after my first record came out. I played there so much and it became like my home. It happened like that because he would just tell me that, I don't know what it is, Jimmy, but I just put your record on and it made me paint all this. And he literally showed me an entire house full of painting after painting that he said, I just put your record on it and it inspired all of this. And to tell you the truth, some of it was nasty. It was like, but it was real. And that's what mattered. If it was, he gave me, one of my favorite ones is it's just a little tiny square painting. And he gave it to me because I said, oh, I love that. And it says, do us both a favor and drop dead.
That's the painting.
That's the painting. So and I just loved it because of how honest it was. And people can be like, oh man, that's terrible. It's negative. It's hateful. And it's like, no, it's not necessarily hateful. It's art. Like if he's saying that you just like, you're saying every day that you want to not be here and be gone and blah, 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 blah. Like, and suicide was not a joke to me at all. Right. Because it's close to me. I've gone through it with people close to me. And so it wasn't funny, but it was real. And that's what I wanted to inspire. I wanted to wake people up. So anybody that was bothered by it, I basically was like, I'll hear you out because we're gonna have a conversation. But if you're coming at me in a sense to try to dispute something that I've said as if I'm saying it like it's part of the gospel, fuck off. Like I'm not.
Yeah, that always
I'm not.
Disturbs me actually. Yeah. When people feel this is what I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but this is what bothers me about social media. Everybody seems to feel their opinion is very important about everything, and like, come on, man. If we were walking down the street or having a conversation, just life doesn't, you wouldn't have the time, why did you do that on your song? Why did you have this on the cover of your record? What do you imply? Like, leave me the fuck alone. Like, just don't get something to do, positive, read a book, jerk off, whatever it is that fucking turns you on, I'm like, really, I don't understand that. It's very confusing to me.
And that's the thing, that's why I feel like you and I could probably have a really great conversation about it, which to some would feel like, wow, that's negative. But to us, it's not really negative at all. It's like what we're recognizing is the negative.
Yeah.
And we're baffled by the negativity of it. So we can talk about it, and it's not a negative conversation. It's actually just recognizing how negative a lot of that stuff is.
Yeah, like, what are you doing with that time? Like, people, someone will put their guitar on a forum or something, then you get 3 people saying, that's the worst guitar I've ever seen in my life. Why didn't you get this? I'm like, Wow. You know what I do? I literally block those people because here's how I feel. First of all, you owe me a fucking money because you've taken my time to read that drivel, right? Second of all, I don't want to read it again. So I just block you. I don't even know these people. I'm blocked because like you stole time. Why would you do that? Guy bought
Yeah.
a new guitar and like your opinion of like I don't I have a real maybe I'm old.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think we're old. I think
Fucking
I think it's just a different. I think it's a different mindset, a different way of living that is like, especially. I mean, and you talk about everyone loves guitar, and yeah, it's such a it's a community of love for the guitar, but very, very opinionated
yeah, right.
at the same time. And it depends on, in a sense, almost the genre of music that you listen to with the guitar and how intense your opinion is going to be and how dark and absolute it's going to be. It's weird. I've noticed that through the years.
It's really, it's like I think for myself, how are these people having relationships in real life? Like if you're getting butthurt over some guy in Brazil you don't even know, won't see, don't know his name, how do you react when your wife or partner does something that like irritate? Do you blow a few? I mean, I, I don't have the.
Totally.
Thank God I don't have the time in the day to even think about that shit. But
Yeah.
it's really weird. And see, like when I look at your lyrics, like I'm like, because I read quite a bit of them for the record because I really thought it was powerful. And I'm like, man, this guy goes way out of his way. I could see you deliberating over a word because you want it to be the right word. So that message of that line and therefore the message of that phrase and the message of that song is congruent with what, I mean, you can see that in there. It's a lot of work involved.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, for anybody that does that, even if it's music I don't like, why would you sit and like, well, I got a bone to pick with you.
Yeah.
Well, that's just what I wanted to hear after fucking slaving away over 17 songs and recording and mixing and engineering and producing and getting guys,
Yeah. One of them was like from, somebody I know. It was a lyric on the first record, and I end this whole song called Drowning. And the lyric I say is, I remember the words of someone I used to know, who said, love everyone, but keep them far from your soul. So, all of a sudden they're going to be super positive and try to explain to me what the meaning of love is. And it's like, that's not possible to love everyone, but keep them far from your soul. And I'm like, okay.
Right. Okay. Next.
Yeah. Did I say that was the case? The song's called Drowning. It's somebody that's drowning in their thoughts and in their approach, really. And they're struggling because maybe by the end of the song, what I'm saying is this is why they're struggling, because they do have that approach of just basically like keep everybody far away. And so as a result, he's never satisfied inside and warm because he hasn't let love in.
Right.
So that's the lyric of like somebody that said, keep them far from your soul. So it's like, you're sitting here wasting my time. You're arguing with me about what the meaning of love is and telling me that I don't understand, but maybe just go back and listen again. And if you still don't understand it or care and if it doesn't make sense, great. It's art.
Yeah, turn the channel, man.
Yeah. Go listen to something that's spoon-fed to you and that you understand, that makes you feel all happy then.
Right. Right. Change the I know. Sometimes I do. Someone says something, they'll say, well, you don't know anything, and know what I respond sometimes? You might be right. And then they're like, because I didn't like, you might be right. What the fuck?
One of my songs starts exactly with that lyric.
What song is it? Because you give me all these songs I got to listen to. It's good.
It's online and it's called, you could either find it live version of it would be called A Wish for None.
Yeah.
Or Shoot the One in the Middle. It's been called both of those. And I start the whole song and I say, you might be right. Tomorrow ended so late. Where was love? It's just like, you might be right.
Yeah. You might be right.
There's a good chance.
Yeah. What the hell?
And that's why I'm writing the song, to let you know. It's like, you might be.
Yeah.
But it's just art. Just art. And or love to find some answers and to explore something. And it's like, you don't have to, who's saying anything about right or knowing anything?
Right.
I actually don't claim to do that at all. You know, you asked me, said you mixed your record, and I was like, yeah. And you can be like, well, that's, you know, that's an art in itself. And I go, yeah. And then I could say, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
It doesn't matter. It sounds great. I mean, I specifically couldn't, I was going to ask you like the mix, a couple of things, but that's a great mix, man. And you have a lot of things going on there. It's not like it's bass guitar and drums and that's it. You know, you have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I want to ask you the Brian May thing. How did that opportunity come up? Okay,
I'll try to be quick about it, because I tend to go on about things, but I know that this particular thing, people would probably want to get right to the core. Rick Rubin is a dear friend of mine. He's a well-known record producer, and he was working on the soundtrack, and he was working with Audioslave on something. So he was sitting with the people at Sony, and they said, okay, well, Chris wrote this great song. Chris and Alan wrote this great song, and we want to use it. And they're going to use it in the movie. But they said, Chris is already singing the song, so let's get somebody else to do it. And somebody had said, well, how about Eddie Vedder? And Rick said, no, there's one person on the planet to sing this song. And he fought for me.
That's so cool, man.
In the meeting. So he called me and he said, look, we were just talking about it. And he said, I'm going to send you the song. Let me send you the song, and you tell me what you think. I heard it, and Chris's version was a little more avant-garde and kind of moody, trippy. And I had, you know, my records were a little left of center as it was. So my thought was that if I do this with Rick, I want to go straight down Main Street. Yeah. I want to just hit people, because I use my voice in different ways on our stuff early on, which wasn't necessarily singing with songs that felt normal to people. You know, I'm kind of just flying all over with my voice, like I said, just to trigger emotions and thoughts. But I always loved a good structured song and pop music. And so, you know, Queen is basically one of my favorite bands of all time. So I was thinking, like, I want to go kind of straight down Main Street with it. And I was thinking, I paid my due time after time. So I called Rick and I said, look, I'm kind of hearing it like this. And I played it from over the phone, my guitar, and I just sang it with just guitar. Before you landed. And I was just kind of picking it out, super simple, clear, crisp, right out of the speaker. And Rick knows how I am, that I want my voice like right here. We spoke about it back in '97. I said, I hear so many records and the vocals like so far gone. And that's a cool sound, but the record that I make with you, I want my voice like to be like right here. And so he knew what I was talking about. I was singing it to him over the phone. He said, that's exactly what I'm hearing. So he put it together. We went to his house. We rehearsed the song a bit with another hero of mine that doesn't get talked about enough because Brian's so great. But Roger Manning, the keyboard player from Jellyfish.
Yeah.
I love Jellyfish. I always did. You know,
talk about it in great musical talents, man.
Unbelievable. I would say probably one of their biggest fans that existed. I was on 120 Minutes one time, and I used the entire time to basically talk about Jellyfish.
Really? That's hilarious.
So now I'm here with Roger in Rick's house. Rick's house is so vibey. Roger's playing the piano. We're doing it. We go in to record it. We go into Sound City to record it. Use the big room, the Neve and all that. Sounds great. We have Dave Sardi's there with us. It's just like an unbelievable engineer, producer himself, guitar player, creator, songwriter. Sardi himself, in his own right, Sardi is a motherfucker. So he's there with us. Roger Manning, Rick Rubin, a friend, Jason Lader's playing bass, another amazingly talented person who went on to produce great records. We have Beck's drummer, a guy named Victor, playing the drums. Sounds great. We knock it out after a couple takes. I sing on it, And Rick says, so I'm thinking about asking Brian May to play the solo on it. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
And he said, if he can't do it, Rivers said he'll do it. Because Rick was doing Weezer records as well.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm down for either. I love the way he plays the guitar. And I play guitar. I play pretty much like, even going back when we were younger, if there was solos to be played in a Brian May kind of way, I was the guy playing them. But I tend to hide from the guitar. So I wasn't pushing my guitar playing at all. I said, okay, yeah, that's great. I'll be the singer. And I love how both of them play the guitar. So it just turned out Brian said yes. We sent the track to him.
Right.
We were never in the same room. Sent it to him. He sent it back. He elevated the song so much that I said, okay, Rick, I have to re-sing this now. And every time I talk about Rick, I have to say it, and I have to do it in Rick's voice because I'm animated like that. So
okay.
It's no disrespect because I love him dearly. He's
do it, because I've never really heard him speak.
I just love him. So I said, okay, Rick, I have to re-sing it. And he's like, you're crazy. And and I'm like, he's like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And that made me smile because, he is like a big teddy bear. And just to hear that from Rick, he's calling me crazy, but it's because he believes in me and he loves me. So I'm kind of smiling from ear to ear about this whole experience. He's made it such a wonderful thing. And he said, but if you want to do it until you're happy. Let me know. A few days went by. I was at Coachella, came back from Coachella, and I needed a few days for my voice to recover from Coachella.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And then I went in and re-sang it. I did a bunch of harmonies. I didn't want to layer the harmonies too much because I didn't want to necessarily sound like Queen. I just wanted to be on that level. So I pushed myself a bit. I very purposely did not sing. Like Chris's version was really great. And like I said, it was like moody. But when he hit the choruses, he was all Thor. Chris was like Thor of singers, in my opinion. So when Chris hit the chorus, he was like, someone to die for.
Dude,
like,
you're great with voices, man.
Like crushing it. So it was important to me to not sing it that way. And I knew that I would receive criticism and backlash for not being as rock as Chris, but it was important to me to not try to be like that. I'm not that kind of man of war guy. Like I'm not that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Freddie in me. I have a lot of Elton John in me, Bowie, all different colors and stuff. So I just kept thinking, well, how would, if I was to say really clean in like a healthy, like Stevie Wonder kind of Michael Jackson space, right, in this part of my voice, that's the sound that I hear. So I just pushed myself to sing it great. My first reaction to it, which make lots of guitar players laugh, was, before I re-sang it and Rick sent it to me, he said, Brian did a solo, I'll send it to you. Send it to me, and he's like, what do you think? He called me and said, what do you think? And I said, it sounds kind of phoned in. And let me tell you why I was completely wrong, but why I thought that is because it was so good. And when Brian, the way he put something together, how finished and thought out the parts that he built were, they were so together and sounding like something that I was so used to because of Queen, because I love Queen so much, that because I'm slightly cynical like that. So rather than be like, wow, it's amazing, I was like, it kind of sounds like,
like
it's
Queen,
not,
too much like
yeah,
Queen.
it's not standing out to me. And then he said, really? I said, let me listen again. That's my rule anyway. I don't like to react the first time.
Sure.
I like to listen twice before I say anything. And I try to keep that as my general rule. And then I listened and I said, no, I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
Okay.
I'm wrong.
What changed your?
Just because, like I said, I was desensitized to how good it was because of how just good it sounded, because how normal it sounded.
Okay.
And to me, I was really concerned about sounding ordinary and normal.
Okay.
And Queen had become normal to me because I was so used to it.
Gotcha.
Not recognizing just like how abnormal.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, man, actually.
Queen were, but I just loved them. It was normal to me, Queen. But then I had to step outside of it and say, whoa, okay, no, I'm completely wrong. And that's where we want to be.
It's great. So were you happy with your part in the end? I'm sure.
I was. And, but because of the way that Rick works and the way that I work and not rushing anything, because our view is that really we say it in different words. My words were, when I was growing up, because I was a brat with the people I was playing with, I was saying, listen, I'm not in any rush to put out shit.
Yeah.
There's no reason to rush to put out shit. Like, why would we do that? That's what I always said. And then Rick followed it up a decade later or so when I was working with him, more than a decade, and said to my manager, who was trying to push him on time frames, he said in a total calm, funny way, he said, hey, listen, don't worry. If it's bad, it doesn't matter when it comes out.
Yeah, that's so true.
So, so we missed the deadline for the movie, basically.
And then how long after the movie did it come out?
Well, we made it to the soundtrack.
Okay.
And then maybe in the end of the credits, it made it into it, but it was supposed to kind of come up right away as like part of the end of the movie. And, but I just felt like, well, same thing. Like, well, even if it comes up, if we get it into the movie and I'm not happy with it, it's not going to matter to me. Some people would be super proud of that because just like they are, like, you know, social media, like they literally get happy and proud of this picture that's not them.
Right.
Or even records these days when singers auto-tune themselves and it's all fixed. And then like, wow, look at this. I'm so proud of it. I'm so happy. But I mean, that's a long conversation to have, but you're happy and proud about what? That's not you.
Yeah.
So that's the mindset that I always had. I was like, I want to make sure that I love it. And so now, because we took the time and we missed the movie, it doesn't matter when people listen to it, it stands up. And, you know, I didn't have to tune my voice. I went, sang it all, and it stands the test of time because we made sure that we didn't put it out in any sort of rush to be noticed or recognized. Like fearing the fear that the train is going to go by you always, you know, I think is a thing that people can get concerned about, and why they feel this bizarre need and necessity to push themselves so much, to just push nothing out there. But, you know, my mindset is always just like, make sure you love it and make sure that you're super, super proud of it for the right reasons. And if it happens to coincide with modern day culture or popularity, then you would have been in line with the universe in that moment in time. But otherwise, like, to rush something out that's not really you being proud of where it's at, you know, I would be sinking into my seat at the movie theater if it came up, where most people would be like, yeah, really excited. I'd kind of be like, oh, fuck.
I love what Rick said. If it sounds like shit, it really doesn't matter when it comes out.
Yeah, don't worry. If it's bad, it doesn't matter when it comes out.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's such a good single. It's probably one of the, and you don't have to, like, I'm not asking for anything here, but that's probably one of the tracks that could actually make money on streaming. It's that good of a track, and I could see it being that widely accepted, especially being associated with the movie. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, I would love that if that happened, because it would make Alan and Chris lots of money if that happened.
For writing,
Chris's estate. So.
Hey, let's talk about the new record, self-titled. As again, I said, it's called Hours. I said some of this. This was my first introduction to your music, and the entire record was great. Every track on there, almost every track is like a 5-star track for me. I've added 7 or 8 of them to my heart list. And I thought they were very emotional tracks that really where you really dug into your soul and shared that with us, the listeners. And you mentioned to me when we first spoke, you said, Craig, this is the record I've been wanting to make my whole life. And to me, you accomplished whatever you were trying to do and then some. But I wanted to know specifically what you meant about that when you said, this is the record I've been trying to make. I wanted to make my whole life. And what made you so excited about it?
Well, I think that when I was growing up and looking at people like Freddie and like Jim Morrison, Michael Jackson, all these greats, Prince, it's just the desire to be that good, for starters. And what I loved about, say, like Queen, The Doors, Bowie, and even you can say this about Michael too, because he really at some point touched upon all different styles of music. Mm-hmm. I just loved how wide of a range of music they made. It wasn't just one style of music. There were the soul tracks from Bowie. There were the avant-garde ones, the really out there ones. And then he got into like crazy, almost like industrial stuff. And he kind of did everything. And
he did.
And that's the way that that's the kind of artist that I wanted to be and what I wanted to do as a band. I didn't want it to necessarily be any one style of music. And going to shows when I was younger in these big places, the lights go out and just like kind of guitar strikes up. That feeling of like a big arena or stadium show, as it became taboo to the people who were managing me and managing my career early on. They did not want that for me. They did, we're not going to let that happen. To them, that was silly. That was like, it was laughable.
They were chasing trends.
Well, just they felt like why would you want to go and play like music in a big space like that? It feels like you take the personal element out of it. And I said, well, maybe you've never seen U2 in the middle of 80,000 people with, Bono singing, what's it, Running to Stand Still or something, or One. Yeah. But in my experience is being out in those 80,000 people and feeling completely connected to the human condition and to what he was putting out, what the band was putting out. So that was a part of my ambition, to play music in those spaces where that amount of people were basically that unified in that moment in time, where you felt like you were in the center of the universe and 80,000 people were feeling something. That they're all different kinds of music and stuff. So there's no one way necessarily to do it. It depends what works for you. But for me, I wanted something that was going to be, at the end of the day, really uplifting to the spirit, in the sense of not through angst or through self-victimization or victimizing, whatever that word would be. I didn't want to be a part of that and give into that kind of thing and perpetuate this negative thing just to have a better existence myself. I wanted to find a way to genuinely take on what we all go through and not have it necessarily be just saying, oh, don't worry, everything's going to be all right, which is the lyric on one of the songs on the record. I knew, like, to get there, for me, that I was going to have to take people through a journey to get there. And so that was my goal at the end of the day, was to reach a lot of people by not compromising integrity, or my vision, which was to reach them through letting them know that they were not alone. And so how could I do that without over victimizing or anything like that, or without being patronizing or just trying to come up with a lyric that felt like, okay, well, you're just telling me it's going to be okay, or you're just telling me I'm not alone. Like, how do we get there honestly in a song and really reach people? And it took me having to go through everything that I went through to get to that space, to where when I was coming into this record, which took just about a decade to make. It was a period of a decade after what I felt like, I kind of, everything collapsed on me around 2008, 2009 in my life as well. And
that is weird.
So rebuilding it from that moment on.
Yeah.
And it was very, very important to me to stay away from anything that felt like it wasn't going to be part of this solution, and the proper steps forward to a space that was going to be inclusive with everyone else and their stories and their battles and their struggles, that it wasn't just going to be about my own struggles. Because what happened, Craig, was I started out that way in Distorted Lullabies, my first record, and then I felt like my next two records became, and maybe three records became, reactions to my experience in the music business and what I was going up against as far as bullies as I saw them, or the money people who were very manipulating and basically at some points would be happy if you just killed yourself because they collect insurance on you. It got to be so dark like that. And so even though I felt like I was still being somewhat righteous by pointing out the negative aspects, I still felt like there was too much reaction in my music, reaction to my own things. And then I made a solo record during the time my mom was dying, and it's a really beautiful record, but it's sad. So I needed to somehow basically.
Is that the heart? The heart?
Yeah. Yeah. I needed to make this
Sorry
record.
about your mom. I didn't know. Sorry, man.
Oh, thank you. I needed to recover from that. It's a whole period of loss. People very close to me, that I needed to grieve myself, but I kept working. So I would write songs, and I'm very honest. And as you see with our conversation, songs, I'm very honest with things. So I was writing sad songs. And so I needed to get back to a place of where I was excited about being a singer, and that I knew that my job was going to be to go out there and be strong for everyone else and lead them to a place of lifting them up. And so it took a long time to get back to that space to be able to do that, where I can say that I was confidently doing that. So there were songs along the way that felt like they were still a little bit in that self-loathing space. I pushed them aside, and I just kept focusing that this record, which was originally going to be called Spectacular Sight, it became self-titled record because I felt like, okay, this is it. I got there. Songs, I feel like they super, super personal, but also very clear. Now, this time it was important to not make abstract art, but to genuinely try to reach out to people, basically, and not confuse them or not try to intrigue their minds in a way that would make their minds wander, but to try to turn their minds on to something that I felt could potentially take us to a good place. So I was very specific about the words through all of it. Yeah. And I feel more direct, and I feel that in the process of being more direct, that as a result, I've gotten way, way deeper subject matter without being abstract, because the abstract stuff seems deep because it'll make your mind kind of wander, as going back to what we talked about earlier.
Definitely.
So the challenge was, how do I be really direct and yet still take people on a ride and a journey, and have enough for them to bite into and feel like there's something really, substantial here that's moving me. So I feel like we were able to do that. I was able to embrace every aspect of what has inspired me and not feel any sort of inhibitions to radiate that back out. So whether it's new wave music, whether it was gothic music, whether it was folk music, whether it was rock and roll music, guitar music, I feel like I was able to embrace all of that and make one record where it's all kind of in there. And yeah, so that's kind of what I mean by, like, this is the record I feel like I was meant to make my entire life. Because if you're going to put one record on and get the entire sense of what I've been trying to create, this would be the one. This would be the one for me. The record before it, New Age Heroin, I also feel really, really strongly about. But again, a very sad, and moments sad record, and at other times really, really uplifting. So that's part of the transition into this record. It was a record series of three: Valley of the Boxer, New Age Heroin, and then this final one. So Valley of the Boxer is like going back again to being young and raw nerve, like I was before I signed my deal. And then New Age Heroin is this transition from punching your way out of every situation to opening yourself up to different possibilities and options. And in the process of that, also dealing with unexpected tragedies and obstacles, and continuing to push through to where this record should feel to people like it's a triumph. So that's kind of the deal.
This is a very healing record. I can tell you right now. That's a great description of it. I mean, it's very, it's almost like I like records where I'm listening to it and I feel like, okay, this is for the underdog, and the underdog comes through on top, or he wins, or she, what I'm saying? I like that. And this record did that really, really effectively. So I mean, you accomplished this. 17 songs, an hour and 17 minutes. We talked about this, but just to let people know, Jimmy's ability to convey passion and intensity is very on point, man. I mean, it's a combination of the powerful lyrics and voice is really strong, but the music, as we talked about it maybe before we started, but it's got like multiple climaxes throughout the song, and it's really every song is a great journey. One thing I was curious, was there anything particular going on in your life, and particularly in your headspace, when you were writing these songs, and did they spill over into your writing? Because it just seems like it seemed like some of these songs had a very personal meaning.
Yeah.
I mean, to the extent you're comfortable.
Yeah. I've been healing from a lot, and doing my best to not, like, as I said, to not feel sorry for myself in any way, or get into any self-loathing. So just life, you kind of go through it, and everybody has their own story, but love, loss, so I was just really trying to take all of it that happened through the years, which was like a whirlwind, because when I kind of went into signing my record deal, I was 23. I signed with DreamWorks, and there was a whole
talk about that, because you've mentioned this several times, and I just get the feeling that as I've had a lot of guests here, including Nick, you think, oh my God, I got a record deal. And he was a young kid as well when he got it. And it's like, it's fucking worst thing that ever, not worst thing, but it was nothing, you know, it was like almost like a scam, you know, like nothing that was supposed to happen did happen.
Yeah, it can be that way. And you have to just keep fighting for the, you know, through to the next chapter in life and take what you can from it. I got a lot of amazing things from it. So that was the whole thing. I learned to finally, through this period of healing and everything, I learned to look back on it fondly and take everything that I learned from the challenges, the people that I'd worked with, which were some difficult relationships, but I learned a lot from them. So I was able to really, I won't want to say forgive, because it's not that drastic, but I was able to just look at it all and learn from the early years. But it was a whirlwind of signing a deal, the whole bidding war, being young, getting a lot of money early on. The record's taking forever to make and put out. So, you know, without putting out a bunch of records and selling a ton and playing big shows, the money can only last for so long. If you get it in chunks, the IRS gets most of it, is the facts.
Yep.
At the end of the day. So, and again, like the idea of existing in chaos. So I get this money, and I felt like that's abnormal to me. I grew up without money. So I have this money. I don't know how to create. I don't know how to create in this kind of slumber.
Yeah. No, it's so funny that you're saying all that.
So
Because the normal person's thinking, I got money, it's great. But, you know, I understand what you're saying. It's like, I got money. Fuck, this is awful.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's great, but like, what do I, you know?
Yeah. And
what do I do now?
How do I get through this and still be a person of substance and everything? Like, how do I properly, I don't know, maybe some people find it easier to do it as they go on or they started, but I felt, how do I properly represent the struggle that I've gone through and stay true to the music like that now that it's not a struggle?
Right.
What do I do? So basically I gave it away.
Right.
That's the bottom line. I put some aside for my children to take care of them through the years, but I gave pretty much gave it away. As I couldn't, you know, I didn't buy anything nuts, but it was like, anybody around me that needed anything, you got it. Like I took care of people. And so then I felt like my thought was, well, I got it that time, I'll get more of it once I earn it again. Right. I didn't view it as if I earned it. That was the problem.
No suffering.
Because it was so nuts. It was such an amazing experience that I was like, whoa, how do I all of a sudden have all this money? So rather than recognizing that I already had 10 solid years of hard work in it, and I got this money as a result of my work.
That's amazing, man.
I should have been more, you know, proud of it, and should have said, it's my money. I earned it. I shouldn't have felt bad about it, but I did. And so that was the first like whole wave of like, okay, well now I'm broke again. And now I'm really kind of fucked because the record company owns me and I have to navigate my way through this without any money. And so in some sense where it would be like, well, wow, I can tell them to fuck off because no, I don't need you. I don't need your money. But now they knew I needed their money. So I was presented with challenges of like, how do I get through this one? So that, I mean, we can talk for days about that actual experience, but to sum it all up, I went through all that and then went like the fall, but we went out on the road with Manson. We took this tour with Manson for this record that we made with Rick Rubin. And every night for 2 months, like probably 40 something shows, 4,000 to 5,000 people a night literally assaulted me with like quarters, anything they had in their pocket, anything they could throw at me, just assaulted me night after night on stage. And I just stood there and had to take it for 2 months.
Thank you. Was it because Marilyn Manson wasn't coming out?
Because he wasn't coming out. And he liked us. He asked us to be there. Right. So we kind of,
which is actually a good fit.
We answered the musically call. We kind of answered the call, but yeah, it didn't work. So
oh my God,
we did that, and it wasn't the experience that we thought. In a sense, like we just made this record with Rick Rubin. When we loved the record, we were excited about the band. We were starting to build momentum. Finally, after our third record, we had a big hit in the underground world on the first record. Not much in the second, even though we had some radio and MTV. But musically, we started to really find the space on the third record because Rick basically just said, "Go make your record," and so we were excited about it. And then we went out on the tour, and every tour that we did, everybody hated us, aggressively hated us. It wasn't like they were just like ignoring us and being noisy. We would something I was doing that was drawing animosity out of people.
You were just probably making the delay for half an hour or 40 minutes till Marilyn. That was what you were doing. Yeah. It could have been like Jimmy Page out there. They probably would have reacted the same way.
Yeah. I think you're right. So
yeah.
So basically that was the deal. We did like a year of really destructive touring like that. And at the end of it, we were looking at each other like, what just happened? None of that was enjoyable or anything. Like, what the fuck was that? Like, are we supposed to suffer that much? Like going back to suffering, right?
Yeah.
And chaos. Like, is it supposed to be that hard? So, basically we kind of fixed it after that. And I just said, no more of that shit. And then we did Aha, we did Blue October, Lana Del Rey. I toured with Mark Lanigan and Greg Dooley, which was awesome.
Oh, Lanigan's great, man.
Lanigan's so great.
Yeah.
So, then I just started to be like, okay, I got to be smarter about this. Working hard isn't working.
Yeah. Working
smart.
I know. It's really a tough lesson. Such a tough lesson to learn.
Smart about it.
Yeah, because you, especially when your work ethic is such that, fuck, I'm ready to handle this. I can handle anything.
Gotta go.
Yeah, let me make it happen. And you're like, I can't give any more, man. What the hell? And then the reality is you just got to back off. We all have this thing, and I like to think I'm smarter now, but when we've dug a hole for ourselves, we all think the answer is to dig faster.
Keep digging, man.
Yeah, you got to put down the shovel. That's the only way this shit's going to work, but it's not a human nature, natural to you to do that.
Yeah. And that was the thing. I just kept pushing and pushing. And yeah, to be extremely honest with you and everybody listening, I came home from the tour. Rick got a Grammy that year for Producer of the Year, with our record being one of them.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on boxes. I sold my house.
Oh my God.
Gave away just about all of my belongings. I moved into an apartment, a bunch of cardboard boxes around that were kind of just piled up, and we're sitting on watching the Grammys, and Rick gets a Grammy. Completely broke. I have a little money left that I had saved. I bought land in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh,
I paid a builder in advance to to start getting ideas and stuff together. And so I'm like, okay, I'm still looking towards the brighter side of things. I'll go make a solo record, take a break. But I get back from that tour, sell everything, broke. My mom calls me, tells me that she's dying. Oh. I go to see her in the hospital. The doctor says she has maybe a few days, a few weeks, who knows. And I was just already getting through. My first cousin, who was raised as my older brother, dropped dead at 36.
Holy shit, man.
And this was crushing to me. But I was talking about basically my girlfriend, right the week that my second record came out, my girlfriend took her life, girl that I was seeing at the time. Took her life that week. And the music and the business, we tend to like, okay, people like us and my buddy Nick Perry too, we talked about. We just keep pushing and pushing, and nothing's going to slow us down. And we have this drive, but that's the thing. We're digging and digging and digging. And so this whirlwind of the record deal and continuing to have to be, you know, productive and writing songs and touring, we keep just trying to push through it. And I absorbed all these things, you know. Jennifer taking her life, who was like our brother. He was our brother. He was raised as our brother in our home. I was with him every day. He drops dead. I'm still pushing through. A few other friends, close friends, I also lose, but I'm pushing through. This is life. I have to keep going, you know. Making the record with Rick. We're building and building and building. We do this tour night after night. I walk up stage, people hating us. I'm being assaulted. Come back, sell all my, like I said, sell my home, give all my belongings away. My mom tells me she's dying. I keep pushing. Like, right. Woo! All right. Like, you know, shitstorm. Yeah. So I'm going to start my solo record. I leave Columbia Records with Rick Rubin. I ask him to please let me go, because I start to feel like this major label machine is not working for me. There's something missing from this machine. They believe in me, and they believe that ours should be, you know, a band like Queen or like The Who, but nobody knows what to do with us. And so they continue to miss the mark every time they're marketing, and they spend tons of money through the years, but we kept missing it. So I pleaded with him, and I said, please, I love you so much, but just let me go. Let me get out of this thing. So I signed a deal with an indie label. So
he let you go.
Let me go immediately.
Okay, cool.
He said, okay, I love you. I hear you. I'll get back to you. 20 minutes later, text me back. I worked it out. You're free and clear to go.
Oh, that's great.
And but still, just to show you the guy that is, he says, but I want to help you. I want to help. I have some ideas. So
that's very cool, man.
So cool. But you know, I keep pushing. I lose my mom, and find out that while I was on the road, my CPA, you know, that they weren't paying like these basic interest only payments on my land, like $100 a month. I pay millions of dollars off on their MX, and they're not paying $100 a month on my loan. So basically, I lose my land in Asheville, North Carolina. The builder, this guy getting the money to, he doesn't give me the money back. I lose all my money. So now I have nothing.
Where are your kids this time?
I have 2 kids with 2 different women.
Okay, so they're with the moms.
My son was, I lived with my son for up until the time he was 12.
Okay.
And then his mom and I split. And then I was with my daughter's mom at this time. Okay. So my daughter was with us.
Okay.
We were getting by. But it was not what anybody would think.
Well, it's tough when you got financial struggles. That's really tough on a relation. That's like, I think that's the #1 reason for divorce. If I'm not mistaken.
I can see that. So, but for me, I walk out, I get this news that I lost my house and it's all gone, and that's that, it's done. And all of it. And I just literally walk out and I start hysterically laughing. Like, it wasn't like psychotic or anything, but I was just like, oh man, this is great. I'm really being tested. Honestly, yeah. I didn't spend the time feeling sorry for myself or anything like that. I was like, I'm fucking being tested. This is great. So from that moment on, I looked forward and I said, okay, well, time to rebuild. Here we go. So, so that all worked into the mindset of this record and all that.
Holy shit. What a story, man. Wow.
So it really was like.
So that's why everything is like a rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything was like a rebirth. Every song was like a rebirth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me talk about a few of my favorites on there. Bring It On. such a killer rock song. It's got a great guitar riff, catchy chorus. Who's playing guitar on that?
Okay. So there are technically four of us playing, but just like in little pieces. So I play throughout the whole thing. So I'll play right away.
Yeah, that's great.
That's all me. And then through the song, it's all me, pretty much holding it together. And then I was hearing this, a buddy of ours, Static, who has played with us on a couple of the records and a lot of touring. He was kind of getting really busy and wasn't around too much. And so what was happening with the record, I really gave in, and I was doing pretty much all the guitar. I embraced playing the guitar again, and I was really enjoying it. Again, not feeling apologetic for that I play guitar, or that I have money, or that I have a deal. Like, I felt apologetic about these things for years. Even on stage, I felt apologetic sometimes to be there, because you started to get into this pattern of people not wanting you there. So I was just really embracing the guitar and loving it. And I kind of completed all the guitar. And so Static came in. I was about to do this last slide part, and I have it all set up and I'm ready to play. And Static came in. I said, "Hey, why don't you play the slide part?" So we got Static playing the slide part on the song that goes into the breakdown. And I sent it to my buddy Nick Perry, and he said, "Man, this is like pretty banging." And he said, "I'm hearing this one part." And that's kind of how I do it, just to make it clear to everyone about the process. I don't hold anybody back from contributing or collaborating. Anybody in the band, if there's anything that anybody hears, we try it, we do it. I'm not closed off to any of it. I'm open to all of it. Everything gets tried. And then we sort through things and see what survives. So Nick said, "I'm hearing this part, can I do it?" And I said, "Yeah, do it." He pretty much knocked it out as probably 20 minutes, sent it over to me. And he said, "All right, I'm sending it to you." Basically sends me all the waves. And I dropped it in. I rearranged this song probably 20 times.
Did you really?
Because it was long, and I had this long, I also played the drums on it, and I was excited about, like, I love a proper jam. I love a proper like Black Crowes, Doors, Allman Brothers. Like, I love it when it's right. And so I had this middle section. I was playing this long thing in the drums and all this like psychedelic guitar, and I was building it and building it. And I ended up kind of just like shortening it, because I felt like, and maybe I'll release that other version one day, but I felt like, again, so now trying to sort out the parts of the brain of like working hard or smart.
Right. It's tough to engineer your own records, man.
And I felt like we have an opportunity here to, I think, to have like a pretty strong, fun kind of like rock and roll banger in under 4 minutes. And normally, like, I'll go to 7 minutes without thinking about it. So I kept trying to get it under 4 minutes. And so I cut a lot of that out, rearrange it, drop Nick's part in where I did. And I said, why don't I just put in a sense, almost like two musical parts. Nick's part happens first, which is basically, I think, these kind of affected octave things that he does with an effect on them. And then, Static plays the slide. So that kind of covers most of the guitar. And then I've been working with the same band now for around 7 years.
Okay.
And the guitar player that plays with us now through these years, his name is Mikey. And so the song was kind of done, but we were jamming it and he played something. I said, oh, you have to play that. So in the middle breakdown, there's this big, like almost like Bullet to Blue Sky kind of edge slide. That's Mikey playing that. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. But there's a lot, and I find ways to make it all work with everyone. That's kind of my thing. through the years. I've always been a bit of a producer, and I've been learning that more as I talk about it. Like, oh yeah, I know the labels wouldn't let me produce my stuff early on, even though I did the hit that we had.
Right.
But I've always been producing the producers in a sense. That's why things sound consistent when we work with all different producers, because at the end of the day, I'm producing the whole thing.
Right.
So I found that part of my strength was not just that I have a lot of ideas, because I'm never short on ideas, but that I do enjoy bringing the best out of other people, and then sorting through all this great stuff that I have from people. So there's been so much of that on the record, as well as me getting exactly what I wanted to get. And then all these extra bonus things like, oh, that was amazing that he did that. He did that at the end of the song, but I'm going to put it at the beginning of the song. I'm going to put it in the middle. Like I can hear that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
it's a great track. The words, hands to the sky, show me a sign, give me a reason. No, I'm sorry. That's eyes. Down on earth, we're killing and dying for what? Who's the villain, the god or lover?
Yeah. Kind of just, again, looking around, taking some inventory on what I saw is happening before what I say is the great divide of our country in 2016. For better or for worse, whatever side you're on, there's no denying that it created such a divide.
Terrible, man.
And so these songs were written before it, and I kept telling people, if we go back to early interviews, I kept telling people, I feel that we've done great work as far as moving forward with stopping the bigotry and racism and understanding where other people are coming from. I feel like so much work has been done, and I feel so much better today than I did growing up. But I feel there's so much more work to still be done, and I feel it's still a divide and a weird, almost underbelly of something gurgling, and so that's kind of what I was singing about on Bring It On early on. It was just kind of calling out to somebody out there. If you're out there, if you're listening, here's what's happening right now down on earth. We're killing each other, and for what? We have these small windows of life. We each have a small, very, very small window of life to just enjoy it, to love one another. And this is, again, Craig, going back to like why I feel great about this record, because I didn't get derailed from what I really believed and what I hoped for, which was to still bring everybody together and recognize that without just saying, yeah, man, peace and love, peace and love.
Yeah,
it's all good, but genuinely do the work, look in the mirror, and let's tackle this shit. Things are still fucked up. We have a small window in our lives to love one another and enjoy it. That's it. Just enjoy it.
Right.
Do what's best for others. Do what's best for the planet, so that we don't just destroy it for generations to come. And just do your part. Is it really all that bad to, before you make a decision, to say, how is this going to affect other people? So, and I just felt like, man, we're really drifting further and further away from thinking about your fellow human or animals, or any other living things, trees, the ocean, like all of it. So there's just such a time of that, I feel. And then social media on top of it was like amplifying. Sure, social media can show these beautiful things too, and open our eyes to, like, oh wow, look at this, look at these animals interacting, how beautiful that is, or
right,
or some sort of uplifting, mantra or something. It's great for that, but at the same time, this overwhelming sense of, not to complain about it, but I just felt, it just kind of felt like, oh, we're heading for another tidal wave here. And so these songs, just so you know, were written before the election of 2016. And for that time, it was how I felt going into all that, from even 2008 and 2009, building up to all of it.
Yeah, well, I can't disagree with anything you said. But the big problem is it's you know, you have to individually take responsibility, you know, and it seems we were driving the other day and this happens all the time. There's a guy or a gal, I don't even know who the hell it is. Someone's in the left lane and they're just like going about 8 miles an hour. And so my wife, after years of hanging out with me, has taken on my friend. She's like, what the fuck is wrong? And I'm like, yeah, you know, and it just seems like we are in an age where any sense of, for lack of a better word, common courtesy is out the window. And I don't think it's intentional. I think people are just not aware of their awareness because of the phone is that they're aware of what's 3 inches in front of them. And that's it.
Yeah.
It is selfish because they're not but I don't think it's driven by that. I think it's just like, you know, I'll be driving in a parking lot and I'll see somebody walking out and there's cars. They're about to get hit. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I know your conversation that you're texting. I will stop in the middle of the street and wait for you. And they don't even know I'm there. Yeah. I just think it's awareness. It's like that's like the most valuable resource that people have. And it's gone.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, Eyes. And that's a great rock ballad on the record. Again, hands to the sky, show me a sign, give me a reason why guns take the life of our children while some pray for peace. It's just a great song, very emotional. I was curious with the gun stuff. Was that written about a specific incident or just all the incidents that have happened? Or
yeah, it's always been a very, you know, this is good to talk about. This is kind of stuff I want to talk about. Even though sometimes it's like, yeah, well, let's not talk about that. Let's just talk about the music. I've never been shy of voicing my opinions on things in life. The gun topic has always been a very sensitive one because it is people's right to bear arms, and I understand why they want to. As long as we understand that the same rights that you have, everybody else pretty much has as well.
Sure.
No matter what their race, creed, or color is, they have the same rights. And my problem with guns is really that it's just so final. It's just such a final thing, and of how, yes, like you should be taught to how to operate a gun and use it so that the accidents don't happen.
Sure.
I just feel that all too often they're used by cowards, and the random accidents with guns of like poor children, you know, over a friend's house and they're playing with a gun and goes up. It's just been such a fear of mine because of my own children. So yeah, fears naturally drive us to having our opinions, even if they are naive. Because if I'm naive because I'm driven by fear, I understand that. So I'm not someone that was going to tackle guns and say, you know, guns are bad or anything like that. I just have a great respect for guns. I don't see the need for us as everyday Americans to have these automatic weapons personally. And so I've always had a view on it. And to be honest, you know, so people know that I'm not being a bullshit artist. I've always been like, fuck guns, because I felt like we want to deal with something. Let's deal with it. We're going to punch it out. Let's punch it out, and we'll learn something, but we'll live through it. And I always felt like guns were used mostly by cowards. Unfortunately, in the sense of the violence that was done out there, not by those protecting their home or protecting their family at all. I'm not calling those who have guns cowards. I'm saying that they get abused or misused, I would say. That would be my general opinion on them. And so how do we stop that? We can't control all of them. So at times I've had very extreme views and talking to my friends and like a natural conversation to say, just fucking ban them all of them, ban them all, like ban them all. You got a gun, blah, 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 take them away. I know that that's not realistic. And so with this particular lyric, I was not for a second going to be pro guns or anti-guns at all, but I want to continue the conversation on how we make it better. So my thought, the lyric was like, why guns take the lives of our children? So the next lyric was, well, some of these people, they're just peaceful people. They don't want any part of that. But then others that there are out there that they do want to fight. They want to fight. They want to fight, whether they're into guns or not. But some people are looking for a fight. Right. And so that lyric to me is just like more confusion. Again, this song going back to probably 2015 or so when I wrote it. So check this out. I have been around in very close proximity to already two like gun blowouts and massacres that have happened in our country. When I was a young kid, I raced BMX bikes, and I was at a BMX track, and it was probably 1985. So I guess it was the summer of 85. So I was just about to turn 12. Oakland, New Jersey. If anybody thinks I'm kidding, go back and look at the news. Oakland, New Jersey. We're out there, we're racing our bikes. All of a sudden, my buddy and I hear what sounds like firecrackers. We look over. There's a pavilion of people next to us, next to the bicycle track. And we start to go towards them because we thought that they were fireworks. Next thing we know, they start running towards us. And we're literally watching people get shot and blown away in front of us. We were 11 years old. This was my first thing with it. So it's always been a concern. Then I have my children and all that. All these years go by. Whatever the year is, everyone out there is going to know the year, because you're going to know the year when I tell you that I'm in Las Vegas. Maybe it's 2017, the year? I don't know.
It was.
I'm in Las Vegas, in the Mandalay Bay, underneath the shooter as he's shooting everyone.
Holy crap.
On our way, walking out of the building when the shooting begins.
Were you playing a show there, or we just happened to be there randomly?
I was there. It was my birthday. My son was getting married in Sedona a few days later.
Wow.
He was going to come to Vegas and meet me. He's a big country music fan. He was going to come to Vegas and meet me. I said,
at the festival.
At the festival. I said, Jimmy, you're getting married in a few days. Stay home, because he lived in Arizona. I said, stay home. You know, if anything happened to you in this ride, I'd never be able to live with myself. So Stay home. I'll see you in a few days. I'll see you in Sedona. It's my birthday. I go to see Depeche Mode the night before in the arena over there. This day, we go out. We go to eat with my friends that are there with me. For my birthday. We get some food. We get some wine. About to walk out, and I say, hey, I'm going to hit this machine over here. This the slot machine is a high limits machine, and I like the high limits. It goes fast, but it's like if it goes, it goes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my money back all these years. If it's going to go, we're back in business. So if not, I've lost nothing. I'm right back where I was. So I go to hit this machine, and my buddy's like, "Nah, stop! You're not going anywhere." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. Fuck off." I go hit the machine. I win. And I start walking back, like kind of laughing at him, like waving my ticket in his face. And we stop. There's four of us. We stop to talk. We see two plainclothes cops run by us in the casino. There's nobody in the casino. We see them run by. And I'm like, oh, that's never good. I said, I'm gonna go cash this in, and we'll see you guys later. Two of my friends were going back to their hotel, like up the street. I was going to the Luxor, which is connected to the Mandalay. That's where I was staying. Luckily, that morning, my buddy and I got up, got some coffee early, and we were kind of wandering around the hotels, and we found the path from the Mandalay, from the Luxor to the Mandalay and then back. We found that path, and so we knew this path.
So you didn't have to go outside.
We didn't have to go outside. My buddies go outside. They caught the last cab out of the Mandalay. I call them. I'm trying to get in touch with them frantically because as we start to walk, a sea of people come running in. And I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on, but they're coming in and they're going this way. So I'm going to run in front of them. So I run and I get in front of the pack of thousands of people coming in. And I go, what's going on? And there are people like carrying other people who are like basically fainting and like freaking out. And like, there's somebody shooting out there. I call my buddy quickly and I'm like, yo, where are you? It's like, there's somebody shooting out there. Get in a cab, get the fuck out of here. And he said, we're in a cab. We're already out. We basically run through the hotels. We get back to the Luxor. They're not letting anybody out now. Not letting anybody out, not letting anybody in. So that's the deal. It's shut down because they don't know where the shooter is, how many people there are.
Right.
So basically that's the deal. We go up to our room. I say to my buddy, let's put the news on. Let's see what's going on. He's like, it's not going to be on. I'm like, okay. I turn the news on. I'm like, it's not going to be on. That's us right there. That's our room. That's a helicopter. Wave to the helicopter. Like, that's us.
It's right outside your room. Holy smokes.
Yeah. So we basically wait inside our room all night, not knowing if where the shooter is, if he's in the hotel, if he's shooting around or what's going on, if he's running.
It's really creepy.
So again, and I'm not, that's not a story to say like, this is why we shouldn't have guns. I'm just saying that this is my view on why I'm kind of like, I'm just raising questions. How do we fix this? That's all. How do we make this better? How do we make everybody happy and move forward to some sort of solution here? That's all. So that's what I'm saying in that song. It's not about, it's not about one way or the other. It's just about continued forward movement in the year 2021. It's not 200 years ago. Right. Maybe some things are the same, some things need to stay the same, but let's have the conversation to figure it out because something's out of whack. So that's why I raised that question in that song. Great song.
And then the other one I want to talk about is Your Man. The vocals are there super intense. Like it's kind of like a love song. But it's almost like you're singing directly to somebody.
Yeah.
And you don't have to say who you are, but were you singing directly to somebody?
I think, I believe I was in the most, and you say intense because it could make people feel uncomfortable because it's pretty sexual sounding vocal and direct and just feeling incredibly connected and close to somebody. Yeah. And in that space and in the song, really trying to be honest and get that across in the song.
You did. It was pretty intense, man. It was good. Well, I hope that person was appreciative of it. Do you have a favorite track?
I like, for the longest time, Eyes was my jam.
Yeah.
And then I kept pushing the record back because I felt like it wasn't doing the thing I spoke about. It wasn't giving the full sense of triumph like yet of like this uplifting feeling. I felt like there were badass tracks on it, like Bring It On and Eyes and Lose Control. Like these songs were on the record, but I felt like there was still more that I needed to uncover. And so as it went on, I, added See the Light, I added From Where You Are You Listening, Get That Feeling, Echo, and Gold were all I kind of added on as I pushed the record a little bit further out.
So that's why so many songs on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I really love the song Gold.
Yeah.
For me, that's one of my favorites. It's just, it gives the uplifting kind of light feeling that I wanted the record to give, So that was the last one. It was recorded basically, uh, recorded and finished a day before we went to mastering on that song, and we basically needed to get it out.
You did the mastering on that?
I mastered some of it. So basically, I had Howie Weinberg master some, and then another guy, John Davis, in the UK that I love his work, and then a guy named Will Borza who works with Howie. He did some because we had done so much together that he started to see what I liked, and they kind of got the hang of what it was that I liked. And then would I would actually take masters, and because I worked on it for so long, I kept recording on top of the master. So I would record extra vocals, extra guitars, and then I'd have to remaster it naturally.
That's so
So
funny.
then I would remaster it myself because I couldn't really go back to them and say, hey, can you hit that again now that I added these vocals or I added some extra guitar?
My remastered record.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then there were a couple that I just fully just mastered myself that
Yeah.
didn't send to anybody.
I just want to talk about gear for a couple minutes. What's your go-to guitar that you're playing now?
My go-to guitar over the last year has been a Flying V.
Ah, Nick Perry. You got Nick Perry whispering in your ear because he's playing.
Let's yeah, hey Nick, let's reverse what he just said.
Ah.
I talked to Nick months ago about it, and he's like, dude, my dream guitar has always been this, and then now he has it.
Yeah, he's always on social media with his Flying V now. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So how long have you been playing a Flying V?
Story of my life. I say lots of ideas but advertise none of them.
What? How long have you been playing a Flying V?
Well, I had one years ago. I had a custom one that I made back in 2002 that I just got different parts for and I built.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I played it for a few shows, but for some reason, I wasn't again like I felt apologetic for playing Flying V. It was too like I wasn't supposed to be having fun playing the guitar.
Oh,
and so I sold it, and then
that's another casualty of that upbringing thing. Like,
yep.
work, suffer, fun, no time. Work, suffer. And I was the same. Trust me, man. I mean, I was. I mean, I understand that. It's 100%.
Yeah. So the Flying V that I have was given to me about 14 months ago during COVID and stuff. I was in Florida, spent some time there, and I had hurt my shoulder, my neck and my shoulder. So everything was heavy for me to hold on to. So I just picked up this V and it was feeling good again. And when I did, I wrote a few more songs. I wrote a song called Don't Want to Be a Star that we put out on an EP.
Yeah, that was, she played a lot of good guitar on that one, wasn't it?
That was fun. Yeah. I got to dig back in on that. And I wrote song Are You Listening on that. And so once I picked it up for rehearsal too, I brought it back. My buddy's like, well, you got to play it now.
That's cool.
So it's technically not mine. So I'll probably be looking for a couple here and there that, I mean, this one feels like mine. I don't have any problem with it. I love it. But it is my buddy's. But since I picked it up a year ago, I haven't put it down. And my main guitar through the years has always been a 335.
Oh, yeah.
That's what really feels like home to me. There's something about the way that it resonates, the body resonates, and you can sing. You can make the guitar sing because it responds in the best of ways. That one that I have in particular, something about it that it works with me. It doesn't go against me in any of the feedback. It works with everywhere I want it to go. It goes. So that's always been my guitar that I can't live without.
Oh, fuck. Hey, the power just went on and off. I've just got to wait for the internet. Sorry, man.
We're back.
I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't know. The thing just reset. Thank God. The software I use, that happened one time many years ago.
It backs it up.
It's like it batch processes it at the when it ends. Like if it died, it would still be there.
Oh, that's great.
I had James Valentine from Maroon 5 on one day, and we had a thunderstorm and fucking blanked out. It was lost.
Oh,
So I just searched around. You know, people are nice enough to spend all this time with me. I'm like, I'm never going to do that again. So we're all good. There's nothing lost, audio or video. Sorry.
good. That's okay.
So you said 335 you love.
And then I have another, like the main like workhorse guitar that I've used for years is a Tele that's routed out with a lace sensor humbucker in it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that thing that can kind of sound anyway. It's really great. That lace sensor humbucker is awesome.
It's so funny. You said 3 guitars. I never would have picked for you. I don't know why. I just, you know, you're physically, you're like an alt vibe. Just to, you know, with the tattoos and everything. So I would have thought, I don't know, a Jazzmaster, a Strat, or a Les Paul maybe. And I love all these guitars.
You have a great Les Paul, like a flat black one that had painted flat black like a bowling ball.
Right. That's what I would see you with a Les Paul. You look like that's your jam there, man.
Yeah. It's been 335 for most of the time in Tele and Flying V.
So did you get those in the city, or did you get those out in Jersey, or just various places?
Both in Jersey. Yeah, both of those particular ones in Jersey. I have some acoustics too that are just like, you know, my whole life, these acoustic guitars. One is a Collings.
Oh yeah.
And then another is a 70s Epiphone Texan that Nick wants. I've thought about giving it to him on occasion. It's so good. It's so good. But I love Nick so much that I was like, you should have it. And then the one I play mostly live is a 68 B25.
Wow.
Black B25. That thing has basically become like one of my limbs in itself.
That's so cool. You got very cool guitars, man.
I see that. Is that 335 in the back with the Bigsby?
Yeah, that's my number one, actually. I love the same reason. It's, you know, and I'm not a very big guy. My hands are average size, so that's got a thin neck. It fits me perfect. I mean,
my neck is thin on mine. That's why I love it. I had one that a thicker neck, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's important if it feels good. And I love that guitar. Same. Give me your top 3 Desert Island discs just for this minute.
It's for this minute. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On?
Great.
Well, I got to pick 3, so I got Marvin in there. I got to have. For this tough. It's tough, but I have Octung Baby in there by YouTube.
Yep.
Man. It's so tough. It's going to be between The Doors and Radiohead for this last one, just for that element of a little more open and psychedelic. There's tons of Floyd I can pick as well. But I'd have to say, it kills me to do it. I think, can I leave Floyd out? Can I do that? No.
People agonize over this question.
Yeah, it's fighting between, as cliche as it is, but it's this way because it's that good. Dark Side of the Moon,
dude. That's my number one.
It's like, how can you not have Dark Side?
It's my number one.
I have to have Dark Side, because I can go to something like OK Computer as well, but I gotta Dark Side.
It's funny. I had surgery recently, and I asked them. I said, So no, they didn't say it could play. I said, hey, can you put some music on? And they said, oh, sure. What do you want? I said, Dark Side of the Moon. And they had just get like you. I don't take stuff. So I'm like easy to get passed out. And they didn't even give me the anesthesia. They had just given me like this, I don't know, stuff to relax you. I heard the first 4 pulses and I was gone. That was, yeah, that was it. I was gone just from the relaxing stuff. I was like out of it for, you know, an hour or so. It was great.
Yeah, usually that's kind of the way I like to listen to it as well. Just like some wine or something, and then kind of doze into it, and then kind of start to come to around Us and Them.
Such a great record, man.
Yeah.
Jimmy, tell me the best decision you ever made.
In life, just in life in general, or
yeah, music? Whatever you like. No, life in general.
It stems from, God, it's all connected to, it's going to sound kind of hippie-ish and silly, but just kind of opening up my heart.
No, so that sounds great.
That's led to all the great things that have happened since. So whether it's, you know, to my children, which was just like, before I got a record deal and had any money or anything like that, I had these kids that I love so much, and I had already felt like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most important things you've learned about you.
Well, I think we've touched upon a bit of it, with just the idea of, at some point, working smart is going to be better than continuing to dig that hole. Also, to know that it's okay when I need to be alone, to accept that that's okay when I need to be alone, and excuse myself from wherever I am, and know that that's okay to do that, because it's going to lead to a better result in the long run.
Sure.
with our relationships. So it's okay to just say, I think I need some time. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
That was a good one for me.
Yeah.
Growing up.
It's part of self-care, man. Honestly.
Yeah. And I've also learned that no matter how much, you know, in romantic relationships, what I've learned with like befriending people, is that I'm not gonna fix anybody with my penis. So
yeah, if someone's damaged, it's up to them to fix it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. So giving into like wanting to help somebody, wanting to fix them, it's not going to happen by giving into that, even if that's what they're asking for in that moment in time.
Yeah, man.
As intense as that sounds.
Can't fix anyone, man. It's not possible. Similar question. What do you like most about yourself?
I think just that I don't like to give up, really. This is like my fortitude things.
Yeah.
That I'm grateful for that's kind of running through my veins.
Very cool. Happiest moment or happiest time in your life?
Basically my children being brought into this world, and then the time spent with them after and since, really, that's always the best. The career and music is great, and that's always been the first thing for me. as far as in life, that's what comes first before everything else from the time that I fully committed to it. But my children always come before that.
It's cool, man. Who's had the biggest influence on you personally and also musically?
Personally, that's tough in my life. I've had a lot of great mentors and friends throughout the years, different periods of time. And I've learned a lot from even relationships that are very difficult. I don't know if I can even say person is the truth. If there has been one person, you know, I'm not a current exclusive practicing Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and I try to live my life and look at a lot of the values in that religion that I was taught. But that's what I was taught, and as time went on, that there are a lot of great things in many that I've learned about and that I've applied to my life and that I relate to. So it's tough. It's like, you know, the teachings or the words of Jesus or Buddhism, or been so many great people throughout the years that have been inspiring as a music person and a personal level for me as somebody, which maybe is obvious to people and they're listening and they can say, yeah, of course. But I always really loved Bono. And it was the one moment for me that I could recall ever where in standing and speaking to someone where I had the most bizarre experience of, you know, this weird tunnel vision, whatever it was like everything in the world just went. And so standing and talking to him as briefly as it was really powerful to me. Because just, again, not just musically, but the man that he's been. And you know, it's disappointing to me. So many people can dislike him because they feel like he's pretentious or he's earnest or whatever it might be. But I've always really looked up to him and loved him, looked up to Bruce Lee a lot growing up. That was a big part of molding me as far as a young athlete, and then somebody that I would say that I've continued to be an athlete through making music, the way that I sing and what I have to kind of get to energy wise. So Bruce Lee has always been a huge inspiration. So it's real difficult. It's difficult to specifically pinpoint. I've had great teachers along the way through school, through high school. I had a great vocal coach early on, right out of the gate. I've had people who've taken me in because they've recognized my passion and drive, and they've taken me in and wanted to help me in ways, whether it was younger BMX racing and people that really looked out for me. Or then when I got into music, which I started to find that there was similar people and similar vibes, and that somehow those people, I would go on years later to find out that those people actually were best buddies in life without ever knowing it. So the same kind of person that took me in and BMX and had an effect on me, years later, somebody did that musically with me. And then we're sitting here talking and I mentioned somebody's name and he turned around and then he said, "You gotta be fucking kidding me." And he basically said, we were inseparable for years. And I said, wow. That makes sense, that I've been drawn to both of you, or vice versa.
That's cool.
Yeah. But you know, again, my parents had great impact on me. My grandfather, great impact on me. My dad's dad, who we're both named after, such an effect on me in life. It was, you know, my father, and both of them, my father and my grandfather, taught me patience. So my mom really taught me kind of to stick up for myself. Sometimes to fight back is what she taught me. To not take any shit. You know, she's from Brooklyn, my mom, and all of her family and stuff, all the Italians of Brooklyn. And, so, you know, she fought for everything that she had. So it was kind of, she had a huge impact on me, my mom.
Do you have any hobbies like outside of music or interests?
Not so much, to tell you the truth. I run a lot. I've been running for, you know, almost 30 years.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah, pretty religiously. I love to ride. I love bikes. I love bicycles. Like I said, I used to race bikes. I used to ride motorcycles.
You love tattoos, man.
I used to really love to get the tattoos. And when the artists were first coming up and getting outside of the normal abilities that we would see on tattoos, that's what really got me, like just seeing how good they were. And then the idea that I could have somebody do something that good on me, I can go through the pain and suffering and feel like the original thing that I loved about tattoos was that there was no easy way to get them.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And you wanted them, you had to go through it. Once you went through it, you were on the other side. It's like, okay, I went through it and you earned it. And so that used to be a great passion of mine. I still love to look at the different artists and different tattoos. Still blow me away.
That microphone, I've never ever seen that before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I got that back in 94, so 95.
Yeah, it looks pretty good for that old too.
Yeah, old 55.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Toughest decision you had to make, or most difficult thing you've had to do?
Well, if we're gonna be, I mean, like there are difficult professional decisions you have to make along the way, which, you know, they would have been super difficult to some people, and sometimes they're stressful, but at the end of the day, I always followed what I believed was the right thing to do as far as longevity and what I believed in. So they weren't always that difficult as they would be for some. Quite honestly, the most difficult decision that I've had to make is again going back to letting go of somebody that you know you can't help, and knowing that the outcome might mean that they will not be okay, they will not make it through. But understanding that you know there's only so much that one person can do and can hold on for, and sometimes you have to take that leap. So I think if I have to be completely transparent, that's the most difficult decision I've had to make a couple of times, and taking that chance of letting go and just saying, okay, they're going to have to work this out on their own. That leap is because if I think about it now, I can very clearly say, yeah, that space that you exist in that time, that leap of faith that you're taking, is whether or not they're going to survive, is probably the worst period of time. Yeah.
Just two more questions, and I just want to say thank you for everything. You've been so kind and so open, and It's really sweet of you. Thank you, man. And you're such a talented guy. And I hope everybody listening to this checks you out, please. Cause
Thank you. Yeah, it's been my pleasure to talk and get a chance to talk about some other things. It's good to talk about the music, but it's nice to talk about things all around it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm happy to talk openly and plainly with you. So it's been,
thanks.
A pleasure to do it. And I think I feel like I can do that more after reading about you and knowing some stuff about you. So I appreciate you sharing.
Cool.
I think that's kind of helped me to, to feel better about it. So,
that's cool. Yeah. I put that together because I said, man, I ask these pretty intimate questions, and like, sometimes people can spend 5 minutes on the phone but you don't really know, but at least this way there's somebody, if I share something and they know, okay, this guy, I know a little bit about this guy. I don't think he's got an agenda. He seems like he's cool, and he shared with me, so I could open up. So thanks for telling me that. I was,
that was really helpful, and I was happy to read that and to know some stuff, because I often do wonder, because it's always such a one-sided thing.
Yeah,
and I always want to get more into a real conversation rather than just feeling like my situation is any more important than anybody else's.
Right. What is your interview though? So for this it is, but I get what you're saying then. Biggest change in your personality, Jimmy, over the last 10 years, and how much of that has been intentional and how much is just a natural part of age?
Biggest change in my personality over the last 10 years. I think I've been a lot more fun in general to be around, and it is intentional, and just realizing that I want to bring light into the room when I come in. I want to lift the room up. I don't want to bring it down. It's easy to bring it down, and sometimes people, that's what they have, right? They have the ability to do that, so they use it. But in understanding how powerful we can be, I've really made an effort to try to be more pleasant to be around.
Dude, you're succeeding, so for sure. And I know you see those people. I'm like really bad because I can't handle it. I will leave. I delete. I mean, I can't be around that. It's just like not good for me. I know it's not good for me, and I leave. And I know I seem rude sometimes, and it doesn't happen often, but
But I think it's you have to leave, because if that's again your boundary of being like, nah, I don't need to live like that. I don't need that.
Yeah, I fucking worked hard to be positive. I don't want to be around that. It's just it's out of my boundary, man. Good luck. I don't wish you anything bad, but get the fuck away from me.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. And yeah, bye. Any final words of wisdom?
Final words of wisdom. Well, we are talking about everyone loves guitar. So with that, I would say to everyone out there, just enjoy it and appreciate it. Don't be so judgmental towards others. I know there's a lot of guitar haters out there, in the sense of they play this or play that, but at the end of the day, again, not that it's so to be hippie about it and it's all good, but the guitar is pretty awesome. So just let's enjoy that with one another and share it, and recognize if somebody's doing something cool. Like, it doesn't have to be what you would do, and it doesn't have to, necessarily break the mold, but it's just like sometimes we can just celebrate the guitar together, and it's cool.
I agree.
That's what Nick and I are doing about the Flying V. We're having a moment with it.
That's so cool. I didn't know that, because he just came up. He just like started getting like, I don't know, maybe 6-8 months ago. All of a sudden I started seeing this Flying V, and he was like enamored with it, which I was happy for him. He's got a new, if you're enamored with anything musical, great, but I didn't know you turned him on to that. That was cool.
Well, if he's watching this all the way through, he's going to say that. He's going to say, fuck that, you didn't turn me on to it, because I did not. He shared with me after I said to him, yeah, I've been playing this Flying V and I can't put it down. And I started to do all my pictures and imagery with it, which now I've pulled back because he's doing all his with it. He beats me to it as usual, but and then so he opens up and he's talking about his love for them as well, and he always his dream guitar. So, you know, that's all right. I still have these.
That's right, man. You can come up with something else. Stay ahead of the curve. Man, I want to tell people where to find you. First of all, it's Jimmy's new record is self-titled under the Hours, OURS band name. It's an awesome record. It's so passionate. It's so driving. I would love everybody to check it out. You could find it anywhere you could buy and stream. As far as website, it is hours.net, OURS, and jimmygnecco.com. Again, his last name is spelled Gnecco, so it's jimmygnecco.com. Also, he's getting ready to go on tour. Your tour, I saw the last like maybe two months or 2.5 months. Is there going to be more shows after that, Jimmy?
Yeah, this is just a kind of starter run.
Right.
In some smaller places, we weren't sure how people were going to be with COVID and stuff. So we wanted to at least just go out and start connecting with people. And I know a lot of people do want to get out. So we wanted to at least kind of be there a bit when they kind of celebrate a little bit of that for the summer at least, and create some memories and stuff for those who really want to go out. And because we're really looking forward to playing the band. It sounds great, and it feels exciting. So
that's great. Well, I hope you come down here at some point. Also, Jimmy is first of all, Instagram. Please follow him on Instagram. It's Jimmy Gnecco Official. Again, Gnecco, Jimmy Gnecco Official, and Hours Music, OURS. On YouTube, subscribe to these two channels, Jimmy Gnecco Official, again, and Hours Music. Also, if you are interested in working with Jimmy from a production or engineering standpoint, or if you're interested in like some consulting as far as how to navigate certain things in the record industry, how to navigate dealing with producers, whatever, if you're a singer or an artist, please reach out to him. There is a contact address on the website. It's Gnecco Management, Gnecco Management at AOL.com. Or you could find it again on jimmygnecco.com and hours.net. And if you want to have a Christopher Walken impersonator, you can also hire Jimmy because he sounds just like Christopher Walken.
I do a bunch.
Man, is there anything else? Anything else I could promote or pitch or make people aware of?
Not really that I know of. I mean, we have a few records that we've put out in a short period of time. So there are a bunch out there. Besides the new one, we put out a bunch of EPs also on Bandcamp.
Good.
And so to really catch up with a lot, we've probably released 50 songs in the last 24 months or so.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking at New Age Heroin. You have a bunch of EPs on. Yeah. Ballet the Boxer. Yep, some great stuff here. Everybody just check out Jimmy's music at hours.net or jimmygnecco.com. Man, thank you very much for everything. I really appreciate it. Super cool dude. I hope we get to connect in person one day. And hang on one second and let me just say goodbye to everybody and we'll wrap up. Thanks, Jimmy. Really appreciate it. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your social media channels. We appreciate your support. Thank you very much to Jimmy Gnecco for everything. Very cool guy. Please check out his music at jimmygnecco.com. Just check out Hours, the last album. Start with that. You're going to fall in love. It's just a killer record. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice. So choose wisely. Be nice. Go play a guitar and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I am out. Brother, thank you for everything.
You're very welcome.